What's up, convoy? Welcome back to another video with the most handsome and knowledgeable truck driver on all of YouTube. Before I start today's video, I just want to thank all of you out there that saw the video yesterday and heard me talking about I'm selling these run hard, get paid beanies, and chose to message me and buy a hat. I am currently completely sold out of all of my hats right now. I didn't have a whole lot to work with, but those that I did have laying around were sold. They will be back in, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks, I'm hoping. I actually got to find more hats, and my mother actually has like this professional embroidery machine, and she embroiders all these run hard, get paids into the hats, so that takes a little process and it adds a more of a personal touch instead of like one of these big companies like Teespring or Hammerlane or something, which are good companies. I'm not talking crap. Today's video is a trucker story. I'm going to tell you guys about the time that I worked for Warner and I was a trainer. I'm going to talk to you specifically about my very first student. First student I ever had at Warner, and in total, I don't know, I guess I trained roughly 30 people when I worked for Warner and I was a trainer. But this particular guy, this first student I had, I'll never forget this guy just because he had an utter mental collapse. And it's too bad because he was a pretty good driver for the first 4 weeks. I think it was about four or 5 weeks, somewhere in there. This guy, I picked him up. It was, just kind of like meeting a stranger. He realized he was going to be living on the truck with me and stuff, and he was cool. He realized, he wasn't like, there was no power struggle. He realized that I was the trainer and he was the student, and he was just getting adjusted to the lifestyle of an over-the-road truck driver. This guy, his name is Robert. I don't know if I said that. But Robert, he was actually getting the hang of driving a truck pretty good. He actually progressed a lot faster than a lot of other students that I've had. And things were going great. I was on the OTR reefer division with Warner back then, which I don't believe they have anymore. And a lot of what we hauled was produce to Walmart's, Walmart distribution centers, that is. And things were going great, and then for like the last, I don't know, week or 10 days or so, this guy was on my truck. We were running a lot of stuff out of Southern California up to the Midwest and back and forth. Pretty much that's all we did on that reefer division, but it was, I forget exactly where, but it was like, we'd pick up, and then we'd pick up in Southern California, in Colton, California. There's a Castle and Cook down there. And then we'd deliver to someplace in the Midwest. And then normally it was like candy or something like that we'd bring back down to Victorville, California, and then do the loop all over again. Colton, California, to the Midwest, back down to SoCal, just back and forth. Well, a ton of miles, ton of good experience in there and training and stuff. And unfortunately, that fast pace, because we had like no downtime. There was no like we didn't do even really resets. We ran it just right, and we ran a lot of recap. And yeah, the truck pretty much stayed moving. I think occasionally we would do one of those rolling resets, and that was really the only amount of downtime. But we didn't really do those that much, so I'm not even sure I even did a rolling reset with that particular first student that I had. So one night we picked up a load. And I remember it was a load of candy. I believe it was a place we picked up from a place called 4T's up in Illinois somewhere. I don't remember where, but I'm pretty sure it was a load of candy. So I drove it down to Victorville. I did my shift, he did his, I did mine. And I mean, it's kind of crappy. I can almost see in the comment section right now some of you guys saying that's not how a student trainer should run. It should be the trainer sitting in the jump seat watching the student drive, and you shut down and whatnot. But fortunately, we don't live in a perfect world, and that was the situation I was handed at the time, and I did the best I could with it. That truck had to go. I was under forced dispatch at the time, and I couldn't say no. Could not. That's what a lot of people say, especially I've seen that in the Ugly Truth of Trucking video. A lot of people say, why don't you just refuse a load? If you're a company driver, it's not that easy just to say no to loads, because you'll find yourself staying on the unemployment line. But anyway, that's for another video. We were going to deliver the load in Victorville, California, and I remember I had told him, go ahead and get reefer fuel because we're dropping that trailer and stuff. We were going to pick up. It was just a drop-in hook on that end. And I could kind of start tell he was like getting a little annoyed or something was wrong. He was getting angry or something. But, I mean, we had to do what we had to do. I didn't have hours, and it was getting close to a time to where it was just, he still wasn't allowed to run past midnight. It was Warner's rules for students. And he had enough time to go pick up the next load and stuff. And so he started heading out to this Castle and Colton, California. I remember he pulls in, and I'm laying in the, I'm not sleeping, but I'm laying down in the bunk. And I remember I sit up and I tell him, we've been there many times at this point. And I told him, yeah, okay, just go ahead and check in with the guard, and then, go in, go get the paperwork, go park the trailer and stuff. Let me know if you need help backing up, and grab the load, and then we're gonna have to just sit. It was about an hour or so, about an hour or two, something like that, until I had hours back because it was getting real close to midnight and he couldn't drive anymore. So he says, all right, and I laid back down, and he was pulling on into the place, and it seemed like everything was going great. He checked in with the guard. He went and got the paperwork. He dropped the empty off in the back, which you had to back up in there, and he did a good job of it. Didn't ask for help, not one time. He knew what he was doing. I felt the truck stop. He got out. He looked. He was real slow. I felt him feathering the clutch while I was backing up and everything. And overall, just doing a good job. He was just doing his job of being a truck driver. And he hooks up to the load and throws load locks in it. I mean, he's just doing a pretty perfect job. And up to this point, I never had any problems out of this guy. Like I said, 4 or 5 weeks on my truck with me. And, I mean, we rerun that truck like a damn team truck. I mean, it was literally like a full-blown team truck. Like I said, it's not ideal for a brand new student, but that's the situation I was handed. And, I couldn't change the situation. There was no way around it. So, and ultimately, I think that's what led up to this point, what happened to his mental collapse. So he grabs the trailer, and I kind of peek open through the curtain, and I says, all right, just... there's a lot out there, and they didn't let you sleep 10 hours, but as long as you were out of there in a couple hours, nobody said nothing to you. So I said, go ahead and back in that dirt lot over there, and when I get ours, we'll head up the road. It was a good run too. I forget, it was going to Pottsville, Pennsylvania, or something like that. It was a huge run, man. It would have been great money, but so he says, okay. He starts, pulls out, checks out with the guard and stuff, and starts backing in this dirt lot, and then he just slams on the brake. Like, I feel it, I'm thrown in the bunk. Wow, this is while he was backing up, and he screams, "Motherfucker!" So I'm thinking, like, oh, somebody cut behind him while he was backing up, And then there's complete silence. I remember, I hear the truck just idling, because I'm trying to pay attention to see how he's going to react to the situation, because I'm thinking that truck just cut him off, while he was backing up, which, any driver out there would piss any of us off. So he's just sitting there, and it's just kind of weird, and I'm like, what, is somebody trying to back up? They cut behind him or something? It's just taking a long time. And then he just starts screaming. He just starts yelling at the top of his lungs, "This is fucking bullshit." I'm like, oh no. Now I'm not realizing this guy's on the starting end of his mental breakdown here. I'm thinking there's a truck driver behind him doing something, taking his time, pissing him off. So I'm kind of like, all right, he yelled that a few times, and then he says, he just starts screaming. That's all he said. And again, he said, "This is fucking bullshit." Now I'm sitting up, and I said, "What's wrong, Robert?" And then he goes, "This is fucking bullshit." He goes, "You want me to sleep in this dirt lot when we can go up the road to a truck stop?" And I'm like, whoa. So then I'm like, holy crap, okay, this guy's pissed off clearly about something. So I stand up, I open up the curtain, and he looks at me, and he screams at me. He goes, "I ain't afraid to go back to prison." And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, first off, this guy was like the least intimidating guy in the whole world. He was like, I don't know, in his late 50s, mid to late 50s, about 5 foot nothing, and about 400 bills. And so I'm like trying to figure out why this guy's flipping out like this. I stood forward and I said, at this point now I realize he's mad. I just wanted to get the truck parked, so I says, let me get in the driver's seat. And he says, "I ain't afraid to go back to prison. I'm not scared of you." And I'm like, well, I don't even understand what's going on. Like, I don't know why this guy just lost his shit. Now, we're the only truck in this parking lot now. It's a dirt lot. And he goes, you expect me to sleep in this dirt parking lot like some fucking dog? He goes, we can go up the road. He goes, I'm hungry. I want to get some food, which, keep that in mind. That comes into play later when he says, I'm hungry and I want to get some food. And I'm like, what am I going to the fucking Ritz-Carlton? I mean, I'm right here with you, bud. What? I don't understand. Like, what? You don't have any more hours to drive. You can't. It's midnight at this point. It's Warner's rules at the time. He can't drive, and it's, you know, at most, I don't remember exactly how much time, but it was, I know, at most 2 hours until I had my hours back and I could have gotten out of there. So, I mean, I'm still trying to piece all this together, figuring out what set this guy off. And I'm standing between the seats looking at him, and I says, hey, all I know at this point now, this guy's having a meltdown. I'm starting to realize that, and I want him out of my driver's seat. So I says, hey, let me at least back this trailer in. So then he like hops out of the truck, and then he runs in front of it. Now I can just see this in my head. He's standing in front of the truck, and I'm staring at him through the windshield. And at this point, he starts crying. I mean, just blubbering, ugly crying. Just tears flowing. There's like a fucking snot bubble on one side, and then the snot Nike swoosh on the other side, and his lips are changing shapes, and just a weird, odd, mental breakdown, ugly cry. And I'm like, what in the hell is, what happened here? I just have no idea what set this guy off. So now I get in the seat and I'm just watching him, and I'm like, what do I do? I don't even know what to do in this situation. Here I have this student. Now, he lives in southern Jersey too, so it's not like he lived, you know, in SoCal and he'd just go home. This guy's from southern Jersey. We're in Southern California at this point. And he's having just an utter meltdown. So he calls his wife, and he's blubbering, crying to his wife, and then he starts telling his wife that I'm a fucking asshole and I want him to sleep in his dirt lot like some kind of dog. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. I'm with you. I'm here. I'm not. You're in the top bunk. I'm in the bottom bunk. I don't understand. This guy. Like, I'm not treating him any differently than I'm treating myself. But for some reason, this guy's just losing his shit. So finally, he kind of calms down a little bit. He hangs up the phone with his wife, and I kind of step out of the truck. I'm not getting too close to him. I'm trying to feel him out, see where he's at mentally. And I'm like, hey, man, you know, we just get in the truck, dude. You know, you're in Southern California. You don't know nobody here. Can't have someone come pick you up. And I'm like, listen, if you got a problem with me, that's fine. I'm not mad at you. And if you want to, there's Warner had a terminal in Fontana, like 20 miles away. I'm like, listen, I'll take you to Fontana. Warner will put you up in a hotel room. You can say whatever you want about me to your student driver manager. You know, all these student driver managers, they have these big training companies. I've heard it all about whatever trainer. I was just, whatever, man. I'm like, just calm down. I says, get in a jump seat, and we'll sit here, we'll talk about it, or you could talk to your wife, you tell him to go fuck off. I'm like, dude, just trying to get this guy to calm down, and at least get back in the truck and not make a scene. And, you know, I'm trying to control the situation a little bit. You know, I don't want this guy running around the dirt lot, you know, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what set this guy off, and I never did completely find out. You know, all he kept saying was, you want me to sleep in this dirt lot like I'm some kind of dog. Which, for you drivers out there who have been OTR, any driver actually who needed to take a 10-hour break or a little nap or something, you know what kind of gold you run into when you find a dirt lot that'll let you park there for a while. And this guy, apparently he didn't realize that, because as a truck driver, you'll be sleeping in a lot of dirt lots and loving it too when you find a place to park sometimes. So this guy, he's in the truck now, and he's kind of calmed down. And he's still he's got like the hiccups, and he's making nostrily noises, and it's like, I'm like, wow, man, I'm baffled. Like, wow, I just watched a mental breakdown happen. You know, and I'm starting to piece it together. It was, you know, because as far as I knew, the guy, before he got into a truck, before he went to CDL school and everything, he was kind of a jack of all trades. And just for talking to him the several weeks he was on my truck, he never really had a career. He never he was unemployed a lot. He hopped from job to job. He did different things, so he never had anything real stable. What I'm trying to say is I don't think the guy ever really worked too hard. He had never been away from an environment that he's created himself at home and his wife and whatever. And I think just the sheer stress of being an OTR driver got to him. But anyway, back to this story. We're not done with this guy. So finally he says, okay. He goes, I'm kind of calmed down now. And he goes, he's telling me now, he says, what you're going to do is you're going to call your dispatcher in the morning, and you're going to get a load going to Southern Jersey so you can drop me off at home. And I'm like, that's not how it works, guy. I'm like, okay, you don't want to be my student anymore. That's fine. I have no hard feelings about that. You're just another fish in the truck driver training sea. And I says, how it works is if you don't want to be on my truck, which at this point, even if he said I still want to be your student, I was going to drop him off anyway. After witnessing that meltdown, it was like, I can't trust a guy like that, behind the wheel. So I says, it works. I'll drop you off. You're going to get a hotel room. Warner's going to pay for it, put you up in the hotel and everything. And you're going to call that student driver manager in the morning, and he's going to set you up with another trainer. And he says, nope. He goes, I'm not getting off your truck. He says, you're going to take me home. And I'm like, then that's not happening. That's not an option. Yeah, I said, even if I were right now to get a load going to New Jersey, I said, you're not welcome on this truck anymore at this point. Because now he's adamant he's not getting off the truck. I says, you're done with me. And I says, you go from here, from this dirt lot we're in right now, to the terminal, then you're getting off. And he says, no, I'm not. So I said, I'm not going to argue with this guy. I just watch him have a mental breakdown. So I says, all right, well, we're heading to the terminal. It doesn't matter what. I'm loaded with this load now. And I get hours back, and just silently, there's nothing between us, no words spoken. Drive to this terminal. I get there, and I says, okay, you need to gather your things and head into the terminal and call they had nighttime people for these students. I says, you need to call those people, and they will set you up with a hotel room, and there's a shuttle running back and forth to that hotel, and good luck to you, and hope you're the best, and wish you the best in life. And he said, nope. He was not getting off your truck. He says, he's still telling me at this point, you're taking me home. And he says, I'm tired because I'm going to sleep. I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, what? He did. He got up, he climbed into the top bunk, and laid there. And I'm like, what? I can't sleep. I'm going to go sleep with this guy in this truck? I can't physically remove him. So I'm thinking, like, what do I do? So I'm like, all right, if this guy wants to try to sleep, I'm going to make his life hell. And back then I smoked. Which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, it's last year in September 2nd of 2015, I quit smoking, by the way. But anyway, back then I still smoked. And I remember he didn't like that. He was a non-smoker, and especially he always complained, even though I had my window down, I never smoked with my window up. He always complained about the smoke when he was sleeping. So I mean, I remember I just started chain smoking just to be a dick. And then I told him, I says, you can't close the curtain because I can't trust you on this truck. I says, I have to be able to see you. I says, I'm not going to sleep. I can't sleep with you on the truck after witnessing what you just did. So, and then he kept trying to close the curtain. I kept opening it, and he kind of flipped out, and he pulled the curtain down. Now the curtain was just up by the snaps up there, and he tore the curtain down. I says, all right, now you can close it. And I kind of use it to my advantage. So I remember I turned sideways in my seat, and I just chain smoked cigarettes and kept blowing smoke up there. And he said, stop fucking smoking. And he's like, I can't get any sleep. And I says, hey, why don't you get off the truck and go get a hotel room? Warner will pay for it. You don't got to pay anything out of pocket, whatever. So he didn't want to do that. So I says, what? Finally, he stopped talking. I think he just fell asleep up there, even though I was freaking hot boxing this truck with cigarettes. So I decided, okay, what can I do? I mean, I don't want there to be a physical confrontation, so I can't like just pull him down off the top bunk and shove him out of the truck. So I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna have to pull an all-nighter here and wait till the morning and then wait till people, safety and people came into the terminal. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to do what I got to do. So I pulled it off. I stayed awake, and I remember right at 8 a.m. he was awake, woke up, and he said, I'm gonna go talk to safety. I says, thank you, please do. And he just get off of this truck now. And so he goes into the terminal, and I'm like, all right, what do I do now? I'm trying to think, can I just remove his shit from the truck and just set it up in the parking lot? I mean, what do I do? So I remember I called my dispatcher. She had just gotten in, and I said, what do? I explained to her the situation. She's like, I don't know, let me talk to somebody, I'll call you back. I said, all right. So she calls me back like 10 minutes later, and she says, I explained to her, I says, yeah, this guy, he flipped out, and he's refusing to get off the truck, and blah, blah. And she says, do you feel scared for your safety? I says, yeah, this is a mentally unstable man. I don't know what he's going to do. So that's fine. So she says, you can get his stuff off of your truck. I says, all right, great. So I remember I was like, and at this point, I really hope the guy did well. But at this point in the situation and the lack of sleep, I was a real dickhead to him, because I opened up the passenger door and I literally started throwing his stuff out into the parking lot. And I got all of his stuff off the truck, and this guy, I was worried he was going to come out and see me doing it. He never did. And it was literally, his shit was all over the side of my truck, or on the ground. And I remember I got out and I kicked it all into a pile. And I was thinking, like, I wanted to go in and fill out my report with safety. So I was like, this guy, I knew he had a copy of the key in his pocket. So I'm like, all right, I don't want this guy to come out, see his shit in the parking lot, and flip out and do something to the truck. So I remember I pulled my truck around into the shop, and I got out, and there was a mechanic center, because normally you don't just pull into the shop. So I pulled in all the way into the shop, and the mechanics were like, what the fuck are you doing? And I got out, I'm like, hey, there's a student, he's disgruntled, he's mentally unstable, I don't know what he's gonna do, and I was his trainer and all this, and blah, blah, I need you guys to watch this truck. Nobody can go in this truck except me. So they were like, oh, okay, and meanwhile, I'm explaining this to them. The student walks up, he saw me pulling around to the shop, and now, I don't know, he talked to safety, and they talked some sense into his brain, because he was, all right, I'm ready to get off your truck, I need my stuff. And I remember I just looked at him, I'm like, turn around, because it's back there in the parking lot. And that was the only time, actually, I thought he was going to swing on me. He got real red, he got real pissed, he balled his fist up, and I'm looking at him, I'm not saying nothing, and he let out just like a little scream, turned around, and started collecting his shit. And then, so I filled out my report, and I came back to the truck, I called my dispatcher, and I was like, all right, we need to change this appointment time on this load, because it was a far load, it was a cross-country run, and I was trying to keep it. And she says, well, we're going to have you just drop that load, and we're going to have a team truck pick it up. So I was like, damn it. But they had another load. I was going to Clarksville or Russellville, Arkansas out of there or something. But I said, hey, I haven't slept yet. It's been a long time since I slept. She goes, that's fine. It's first come, first serve on whatever day. I remember there was time on the load. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get some sleep. Now, of course, locked all the doors and stuff and slept kind of with one eye open, because that guy was still at the terminal. But I slept for a while, woke up, and walked in the terminal to use the bathroom. Now, the terminal used to have those little roach coaches, the little food lunch trucks that used to show up. And I remember I walked by it, and I saw him standing there, and he was literally pawing through a small fist full of like pennies and nickels, just coins, no paper money, just coins. He had no money. Now that lunch truck took cards and everything, and this guy was literally broke. Because I remember, obviously, I knew what he did before, which, he was job hopping, never had anything real stable. And just like most people that go to work at these big companies right from CDL school are usually broke anyway. But I saw this guy pawing around through a fistful of change to buy himself a cheeseburger from the roach coach. And it dawned on me, this is one of the reasons this guy supposedly had a meltdown. Remember he said he was hungry earlier. He didn't even have money to eat in the first place, and he melted down and freaked out. Which, I'm sure somehow, some way, he knew that in his head, and he was financially stressed, and he was physically stressed and mentally stressed from being OTR, and it was just too much on him, and he caved in. So I remember also thinking, I saw him, and I felt bad for him. I almost, I kind of should have, hindsight's 20/20. Looking back at it, I should have been like, hey, let's put it on no hard feelings, man. Shit happens. I understand. And I almost kind of wanted to give him some money and at least get something to eat. But I remember I was mad, obviously. I mean, this guy just kind of put me through hell for the last, 15 hours or so. So I walked in, did my business, and I got in the truck, and I left. Now, remind you how Warner did it. They didn't fly people around, or they didn't let them rent cars cross country. And this guy was broke. He couldn't even buy a cheeseburger from the Roach Coach. And I remember safety telling us that they were not going to allow him to go on another trainer's truck. They were sending him home, and he took a bus ride, a Greyhound bus ride, from Fontana, California to somewhere in southern New Jersey. Word has it, he's still on this bus till today, some 5 odd years later. I couldn't even imagine how long of a bus ride, literally across country. But like I said, I hope he's doing well now. I hope it was just a one-time thing that happened to him, just all the stress of a whole new lifestyle and finances and whatever was stressing him out. I hope that was the only time he ever had a mental collapse like that, because some of you are probably out there laughing at this guy, but at the time it was scary, and I remember thinking, like, this guy has issues, this isn't funny. And then, you try to be empathetic and put yourself in his shoes. What if you were so strapped for cash that, you not only strapped for cash to support your family, but then you completely changing your lifestyle. Those of you who are OTR drivers, you remember what it was like when you went before driving right into OTR, if that's the route you took. And there is definitely an adjustment period to adjusting living on the road, living that over-the-road truck driver lifestyle, never being home, always on the move, always under pressure. So, I hope he's doing well, and I hope he's all right, but never heard anything else about that guy. I think I asked about him and a few months later, because I remembered his employee number, and they said, I remember a safety guy looked it up, punched on the computer, and he said that he doesn't work here. So, as far as I know, he's took that long Greyhound bus ride home with no money and a hurt ego and some hurt feelings and recovering from a mental collapse, which is terrible. So, it's kind of funny when thinking about it in my head, but also I do feel for the guy in hindsight. So Robert, if you're out there, you know who you are. If you're watching this, I hope you're all right out there somewhere in the world, if by chance you happen to see this video. But alright guys, this video went on long enough telling you about the mental collapse of my first student. So I hope you guys enjoyed this trucker story today. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and you'll get to see more videos. Plus, it helps me out tremendously. So I appreciate you guys watching. Be safe out there, and as always, run hard and get paid.